Hey, what is going on, everyone? Well, I'm so glad you have took your time to spend with me right here today. I'm your co-host for the MRB Wrestling Review Show, Mike McRock-Wilson, and we just saw TNA Impact Wrestling. The show kicked off with Sting coming out and addressing what happened last week, as well as Kurt Angle, who was revealed as the second member of the Main Event Mafia, came out as well, addressing that the third member of the new Main Event Mafia will be revealed. Now, here's the thing that kind of left, a little question mark. Wouldn't it be more interesting if this segment really didn't take place and have the element of surprise as the final segment, which I will get to later on, as well as the one particular match that should have got more time, which I will also get to later on. So I think, this first segment that happened on TNA wasn't really necessary because, I would rather see an element of surprise to be revealed at the end of the show. So just those little things that kind of, should have been and could have been. And there was kind of, a lot of that on this show on TNA. So again, I'll get to those later on. And then shortly after, Bully Ray's paranoia kind of kicked in. Because, he wants to know who's facing next for the World Champ before he faces the Battle for Glory Series winner. Whether it be Chris Sabin, the X-Division Champ, or whoever it may be. So, he kind of met Sabin backstage just before his triple threat match and kind of gotten ahead of Chris Sabin there a little bit going into the match. And I like that they used that for the match because it was Sabin, King of King, and Suicide. And they kind of used what kind of happened there with Aces and Eights with Bully Ray and Chris Sabin to the triple threat match, so that Suicide got the win, but kind of cheated to win. It was a questionable win. I kind of like that because right now it leaves a question mark as to who is Suicide right now. So that, kind of remains a mystery. But here's the thing that I really didn't like that came out of that, was that Hulk Hogan came out shortly after the match and revealed that T.J. Perkins, Hogan revealed that T.J. Perkins was the real Suicide for years. There's two things wrong about that. One, Daniels and Frankie Kazarian. Those two have been Suicide years ago. So Hulk Hogan is kind of misleading, the character of Suicide. But, with T.J. Perkins, again, a situation that could have been different. It could have been T.J. Perkins coming out with the Suicide costume, have two of them, so that the mystery would still remain who is Suicide, so that later on we would reveal who's the guy behind the new X-Division Championship mask. I would have preferred it that way because the mystery is just gone of who is Suicide. So, like I said, it didn't really come off right. Also last night, it was a gut check match. It was Ryan Howe versus Adam O'Rider. And what I liked about going into this match is, to see who these guys are in their video installments. That I like. The only thing that the only thing I really didn't like about this match is that it just felt like it was a scripted win for Adam O'Rider, and the match itself really didn't come off all that well. And it's not, a wrestling problem. It was a segment and time problem. I think if those two superstars had more time in the ring, it would have been a better match. So for that reason, I don't know who will go through. It just really don't matter because of that reason, and so it just could have been a better match, and there could have been more time. So let's move on. Bully Ray backstage with T.J. Perkins. Again, his paranoia is starting to kick in on who's whose side. He was talking to him like maybe the main event Mafia were up to something, that they were up to no good. And we'll just leave it at that because Bully Ray wants to know, okay, who is whose side now? Who's the guy that I'm facing for the TNA World Championship? Which I'll get to later on. The Knockouts Championship match was on the line. It was Mickie James facing Velvet Sky. And just before the match, Mickie James cut a promo, and I like the little things that she was doing in that promo, such as not looking directly at Velvet Sky as she was speaking at times. So little things like that really sparked that heel interest into me, that new Mickie James character, and absolutely love it. Good, great, excellent wrestling knockouts match, and it kind of made up for, the wrongful gut check match where it was really short in length, and so with that said, it was a well deserved relief from that gut check match, and where does Velvet Sky go from here? That remains to be seen as the weeks to come on TNA Impact Wrestling. Also last night, Magnus faced Bobby Roode in a Bound for Glory Bound for Glory series match. I was a little surprised that Magnus won this match. I can understand why, the reason behind having Magnus win, because right now he looks good in the Bound for Glory series on the leaderboard as the guy that's in number one now with 17 points. Last week with the submission win, and this week with the pinfall victory, he's got 17 points now. He's in the lead in the Bound for Glory series. But here's the thing. He may not win the Bound for Glory series, but at least he can use the Bound for Glory series to elevate his status as a singles competitor. So even though he still feels like a mid-carder, but as the time goes on in this Bound for Glory series, he can use that to his advantage, gain more wins, and be a top-tier guy. And he faced a top-tier guy in Bobby Roode, and that was an excellent, good quality television match. So kudos to Magnus, and also Bobby Roode last night on TNA. There's a segment involving James Storm and Gunner. It started off really weird with James Storm on the microphone. So it was a good thing someone actually interrupted him, because it was, his promo was really going nowhere. So it's a good thing he was interrupted by all people, Robbie E and Jesse. I mean, come on. You can't go wrong with Robbie E, because he is a great entertaining superstar. And I think this will be an excellent way to, exert these two superstars into foreshadowing a tag team match, even though this will feel like, okay, this is a tag team that James Storm and Gunner will, go through and retain their titles. But I like that this segment actually happened on TNA. So right now they're going to build up to this tag team match. Excellent work last night on TNA. And also last night, the main event was Samoa Joe going one-on-one with Mr. Anderson from the Aces and Eights. Samoa Joe gains the win via submission and earns 10 points. Right now he's at 12 in the Bound for Glory series. And I think he did need that win. But as well as Mr. Anderson, I could still see Mr. Anderson maybe being one of the final four superstars. Here's what I think. Samoa Joe, Anderson, AJ Styles, and Magnus. Now, Samoa Joe I'm a little concerned with, because He's a guy that I don't think really needs to win the Battle for Glory series as much as Mr. Anderson does, or AJ or Magnus, because, he's been around, he don't need to go over anyone. At least he's not along the edge of John Cena, where John Cena don't need to go over anyone. But with Samoa Joe, he's still underneath that level. But you really don't need to go over anyone. So with that said, it was still an excellent match. And what happened at the end was that Dox and Knox tried to interfere. And Kurt Angle and Sting came out to even the odds, and then later revealed, once they hit the ring, that Samoa Joe is the third member of the Main Event Mafia. I think that's an excellent choice. I think all former world champs should be in the Main Event Mafia. So who's next to be the fourth and fifth, and how many other guys are going to be in this group? So, and then go to war with Aces and Eights, and I like what's happening right now within the Main Event Mafia. So, I thought TNA last night was a solid show, and with that said, it closed off with who is Suicide? Well, it was Austin Aries. And I was thinking, yeah, this actually makes sense, because last year Austin Aries was the X Division champion and cashed in his shot at Bully Ray and defeated Bully Ray for that world championship. So it makes sense for Austin Aries to pose as Suicide to gain the X Division championship to earn another shot at the world championship. I thought that was genius on the part of Austin Aries last night. And that was my review of TNA Impact Wrestling. I'm your co-host for the MRB Wrestling Review Show, Mike McRock Wilson. And to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest, and always do your best.